Hello everybody, it's TannerFishies here, back again with a new Ninjago video here on the channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the Yin Yang Promise and how it might make an appearance in Ninjago Season 16, or whatever you want to call the 2022 Ninjago first half of the year season. Again, to me, it doesn't really matter what you call it. Now, the Yin Yang Promise first appeared in Ninjago March of the Oni between Jay and Nia. Throughout the entirety of Ninjago Season 10 March of the Oni, Jay was trying to find the exact right moment to ask Nia to be his Yang. This is pretty much the same thing as a marriage engagement, depending on who you talk to, of course. Various sources throughout the Ninjago staff, and even the Ninjago lore itself, have said contradictory information, so whatever you want to think the Yin Yang Promise is, that's pretty much fine in my book. To me, as mentioned, I find it to be the equivalent of a marriage engagement that you would expect to see in our real world. Jay essentially asked Nia to be the Yang to his Yin, hence the Yin Yang Promise. Nia eventually accepted Jay's proposal, and the rest is history. After March of the Oni had wrapped up, Ninjago fans started questioning if other Ninjago couples could do something similar, and I don't see why not. I mean, Zane and Pixel could do something similar if they wanted to, and maybe even Kai and Skylor. And let's jump into how that might tie into Ninjago Season 16. So recently somebody on Ninjago Twitter decided to ask series co-creator Tommy Andreasen a couple of questions about Season 16, or whatever the 2022 season will be called. Again, this is pretty much commonplace throughout Ninjago Twitter, however, Tommy Andreasen is kind of infamous for giving vague answers. And when a Ninjago fan asked him about Kai and Skylor possibly doing the whole Yin Yang Promise thing, Tommy of course responded with the traditional no spoilers response, which is honestly fair and expected. He didn't really reveal much, if anything at all, but it did get me thinking. Despite Tommy Andreasen not revealing any key pieces of information for next year's Ninjago story, like I said, I did get thinking about this whole Yin Yang Promise thing between Kai and Skylor. Would there even be room for Kai and Skylor to explore something similar to Jay and Nia, and is there any possibility that Kai and Skylor may be doing the Yin Yang Promise in Ninjago Season 16? It has been confirmed that Skylor herself will have some big involvement in the future of Ninjago. Of course, after making her most recent appearance towards the ending of Ninjago Seabound, it stands to reason that she will be playing a larger role in the future, and that much has been confirmed already by Ninjago staff members. It leads me to believe she will have a pretty big role in Ninjago Season 16, or whatever you want to call the 2022 season, and maybe she could even become an official member of the ninja team. I've always kind of theorized that. Maybe she could take Nia's place temporarily until, of course, Nia comes back to the team, possibly towards the end of Ninjago Season 16. But Skylor having more focus and more of an appearance in the modern day Ninjago scene, I find that to be a good thing. Skylor is one of my favorite characters across the entirety of Ninjago's lore. Ever since she first appeared in Ninjago Season 4, I have loved her character tremendously, and I have appreciated her appearances and cameos throughout the Ninjago series, even the most recent appearance in Ninjago Seabound, despite only being a few seconds long. In addition to my liking of the Skylor character, I also really enjoy her relationship with Kai. I've loved watching these two grow and develop throughout their time together, and even though most of the development between their relationship has happened off-screen, I still think it's one of the better relationships in the entirety of Ninjago. Focusing on Kai really quick, following Nia's loss towards the end of Ninjago Seabound, Kai's probably going to be in a weird spot moving forward during Ninjago Season 16. I've always kind of speculated that maybe Kai could go a dark or rogue route with his ninja skills, maybe not even being an official ninja but fighting crime his way, a more dark and violent way. Knowing Kai's character and knowing how quick to anger he is, I feel like that may be a key plot point moving forward, but I've already discussed that in several other videos prior. Skylor comes into the picture because I figured that Skylor would always be what drives Kai back to being a ninja again. Maybe Skylor joins up with the other ninja to temporarily replace Kai as well, but after Kai finds out that Skylor's a ninja, Skylor could easily bring Kai back to the light, and perhaps those two could solidify their relationship even further. Skylor has always been Kai's buffer to an extent. He's always coming to her for advice and emotional help, as we've seen during Hands of Time, so it's no stretch of the imagination to speculate that Skylor could fill that role for Kai once again. And maybe at some point during Ninjago Season 16, Kai could attempt to find happiness in his life after Nia's loss, and could resort to Skylor for that happiness as well, and build up that relationship even more. We have no idea what Kai is going to be doing following Nia's loss. We're not exactly sure how the loss of his sister will affect Kai, because all things considered, at one point in time, Kai and Nia had a pretty solid relationship as brother and sister. For a while, they were all each other had. So I imagine that loss will affect Kai in a pretty tremendous way moving forward, and once again Skylor could act as Kai's emotional support, hence building up that relationship even further. After an entire season of Kai and Skylor battling new Ninjago villains by each other's side, maybe at the end they could do a big thing where Kai asks Skylor to be his Yang, pretty similar to how Jay asked Nia to be his. To me, that makes a lot of sense, and I kind of want to see it happen. I mean, why not, right? You already had it happen with Jay and Nia, who's to say it can't happen again with Kai and Skylor? I'm not sure whether or not that would be the main focus of season 16 though. Maybe that could be a side story. I've always kind of figured that Kai's storyline in season 16 would take second to Jay's arc, which I ultimately think is going to be the main focus anyway. But that doesn't mean that a secondary arc cannot have some significance to it. During March of the Oni, I would argue that Jay and Nia's proposal was very much a secondary arc throughout that season as well. So we've seen it work in the past, so why can't it work again? Even if Kai is not the main focus of Ninjago season 16, he could totally still have a side story dedicated to himself, and we could potentially see that happen in the form of Kai and Skylor being engaged, so to speak. It just kind of seems like a no-brainer to me, and if Skylor is going to be in Ninjago season 16 having a larger role than previous stories, we will most definitely see some type of relationship build up with Kai and Skylor. In terms of solid evidence for this theory, I mean, there's not much to go off of because it's not really a theory, it's just more of an idea of what I would like to see happen in Ninjago season 16. We do have various things like Ninjago creators like Tommy Andreasen promising the voice of Kai, Vincent Tong, everlasting love in the future, something like that. We can expect to see a lot of love and romance in future Ninjago stories, especially for Kai, and who else would that involve aside from Skylor? So yes, once again, in terms of evidence, I pretty much have nothing for you guys because this isn't really a theory at the end of the day. This is just an example of something that I would love to see happen in Ninjago season 16, and once again, I don't see why it could not happen. Would it be kind of a retread of a previous Ninjago storyline? I mean, sure, but if season 16 is bringing back Snakes again as the main bad guy, I don't think it's against retreading older plot lines and maybe even doing something new with them. If Kai and Skylor were to do the whole Yin Yang Promise thing, I don't expect it to be in the same way that Jay and Nia went through it. I don't think Kai is going to be struggling with finding the right moment to ask Skylor or anything like that like Jay had with Nia. I feel like Kai is going to be very blunt and open about it and get it done in one shot, one take, and one attempt. I just wanted to take this opportunity to discuss this with you guys and find out what you think about this whole idea of Kai and Skylor doing the whole Yin Yang Promise thing in Ninjago season 16. Do you think it's possible? Why or why not? And let me know what you thought of my thoughts on this subject. Are you a fan of the whole Kai and Skylor relationship, or do you prefer other Ninjago couples a little more? And finally, if this were to happen, do you think it'll be a retread of what Jay and Nia went through during March of the Oni? Leave all your thoughts down below, you guys, and hopefully you enjoyed today's video. That'll pretty much wrap it up for my thoughts here today. Thank you so much for watching. That's going to pretty much wrap it up for my video here today. If you enjoyed this one, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and check out the links down below in the description for other forms of social media. Thank you so much for checking out today's video once again, you guys. My name is TannerFishies, and with that, I bid you farewell.